Some neighbors keep to themselves, others are too friendly. But what if the one living next door was never alive at all? Tonight, we uncover the terrifying tale of the Midnight Tenant, a story that will make you think twice about who shares your walls. I moved into the apartment on a damp September evening. It wasn't much. 2 small bedrooms, a creaking wooden floor, and a faint smell of mildew that clung to the walls. But the rent was cheap, and as a graduate student trying to survive in a new city, I didn't have the luxury of choice. The building itself was old, its bricks darkened with time, the stairwell smelling of dust and faint cigarette smoke. The landlord, a thin, nervous man named Mr. Harris, handed me the keys with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Quiet place," he said. "Tenants keep to themselves." His words seemed rehearsed, as if he'd said them many times before. I shrugged it off, eager to settle in. The first night passed uneventfully. I unpacked, made some ramen, and tried to sleep on the mattress I had dragged into the corner of my bedroom. But around midnight, I heard faint footsteps above me. At first, I thought it was a neighbor pacing in their apartment. Yet the building was supposed to have only 2 floors, and I lived on the top. I sat up, heart racing, straining my ears. The steps were slow, deliberate, and they didn't stop until 3 a.m. When morning came, I asked Mr. Harris if there was any attic access. He shook his head too quickly. "No attic, just the roof," he said, almost defensive. "Maybe pipes creaking. Old building, you know." His explanation didn't sit right with me, but I tried to let it go. The footsteps returned the second night. This time they were louder, circling directly above my bed. I lay frozen, my blanket pulled to my chin, every nerve on edge. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard something new. A dragging sound, like heavy furniture being scraped across the floorboards that didn't exist above me. Terrified, I turned on the lamp, but the noise continued. Then came the whisper. Faint, indecipherable, but unmistakably human. It was as if someone was speaking just above the ceiling. My chest tightened. I stayed awake until dawn, clutching my phone. Though I never dared to record it, somehow I was afraid that capturing the sound would make it more real. On the third day, exhaustion made me bold. I knocked on the doors of my neighbors, asking if anyone had heard noises at night. Most shook their heads politely, avoiding eye contact. But one older woman, Mrs. Callahan from down the hall, leaned close and whispered, "You shouldn't be in that unit. No one stays long." When I pressed her for more, she only muttered, "Some things don't like to be disturbed," and shut her door. I stood there, unsettled, the echo of her words bouncing in my head. That night, I slept with every light on. The 4th night was the worst so far. Around midnight, I woke to the sound of someone breathing, loud, ragged breaths coming from the corner of my room. My heart slammed against my ribs as I turned my head. The corner was empty, yet the air felt heavy, pressing down on me. The breathing grew closer until it was right beside my ear. I leapt from bed, scrambling to switch on the lamp. The second the light filled the room, the sound vanished. But something lingered, a faint imprint on the dust along the floorboards, shaped like a bare human foot. My blood ran cold. The following morning, I confronted Mr. Harris. I told him about the noises, the whispers, the breathing. He avoided my gaze, shifting uncomfortably. Finally, he sighed. "Look, the last tenant claimed the same thing, said she saw something. She broke her lease and left in the middle of the night. I had the place cleaned, painted over. I thought it was fine." His voice dropped. "She said it wasn't safe, that whoever used to live there never left." My skin prickled at his words. I wanted to demand more, but the fear in his eyes told me he wouldn't say anything else. I tried to convince myself to move out, but I didn't have the money. So I stayed, though sleep became impossible. Every night brought new torments: the footsteps, the dragging, the whispers. One night I woke to find my closet door wide open, though I always kept it shut. Inside, my clothes were rearranged, hangers swinging slightly as though recently touched. Another night, I discovered my bathroom mirror fogged over as if someone had just stepped out of the shower, though I hadn't used it all day. Written in the condensation was the single word, "Leave." By the seventh night, I was unraveling. My friends noticed the dark circles under my eyes, my jittery behavior. When I tried to explain, they laughed nervously, suggesting it was stress or lack of sleep. Desperate, I invited my friend Alex to stay over. He was skeptical, but agreed. That night, we both heard the footsteps above. Alex's face drained of color. Around 1 a.m., the whisper began, soft, insistent, circling the ceiling. Alex whispered, "What in the hell is that?" Before I could answer, the whisper grew louder, forming words we could both hear. "Get out!" We bolted from the room, spending the rest of the night in the living room with every light on. Alex didn't mock me anymore. The next morning he begged me to move out, but I couldn't, not yet. My deposit, my lease, my stubborn pride, they held me there. I told myself I'd last one more week, just one. The final night began quietly, too quietly. Midnight came and went, with no footsteps, no whispers. For a moment I felt foolish, like maybe I had imagined it all. But around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of my bedroom door slowly creaking open. My stomach knotted. I hadn't locked it, but I knew I had closed it before bed. The hallway behind was pitch black. I strained my eyes and I saw it, a figure, tall and gaunt, standing in the doorway. Its skin was pale, its eyes hollow pits of shadow. It didn't move. It just stood there, watching. Paralyzed, I couldn't scream. The figure stepped inside, its bare feet silent on the floorboards. As it came closer, the air grew icy, my breath visible in the glow of the lamp. It leaned over me and in a voice like dry leaves it whispered, "Mine." My body jolted into action. I grabbed my phone, the lamp, anything, and bolted from the room. I didn't stop running until I was out on the street, barefoot, shaking, tears streaming down my face. The next day I returned only to grab my essentials. I didn't even pack properly. Mr. Harris didn't try to stop me. In fact, he seemed relieved, as if my leaving solved the problem for him. I broke the lease, forfeited my deposit, and moved in with a friend. For weeks afterwards, I had nightmares of that figure, of its whisper, of its hollow eyes. Months later, curiosity got the better of me. I researched the building's history. Buried in old newspapers at the library, I found a mention of a tenant from decades ago, a man who had lived in my unit. He was described as reclusive, violent, and eventually went missing. Neighbors claimed he prowled the halls at night, muttering to himself. Some said his body was never found. Others claimed he never really left. Reading that sent chills down my spine. To this day, I avoid that street. But sometimes, late at night, I wake to the sound of footsteps circling above me, even in places where there shouldn't be a floor. And I wonder if leaving the apartment was enough, or if the midnight tenant followed me.